Promoting TVET as an alternative career pathway with brightest prospects can help increase their participation in TVET. For a long time, most people have believed that TVET is a dead end. You go to a TVET institution, you will not go beyond your certificate level course or your diploma level course. But it is high time they are made to know that in TVET, you can start at the lowest level and you can go even up to PhD. Because there are students, you start from artisan, you move to certificate, you move to degree, and it continues. So it is important that they know they have that career path. Enhancing career guidance services at all education levels. Students at basic education level are mostly exposed more to general academic programs offered at the university. So this is what I was mentioning, that the career teachers in basic education, maybe primary and high school, will normally concentrate on the courses in the university and not TVET. They don't think of TVET as an option. So it is good for the female students and all students to start to know about these set courses as a good option right from primary. Involving girls in STEM subjects right from primary school and creating STEM-related co-curricular activities and school clubs. This will motivate them in early ages so that they start developing interest in science, engineering, and technology. Then government policy interventions also contribute to female participation in TVET. This is where we can have government policies where they provide loans and bursaries to female students undertaking such courses. Because you find that some of the reasons is because the parents cannot afford. The science courses are very demanding in terms of the materials that are required, the tools that are required for practicals, and also the fee. So the government can come in with policies that can help the students to enroll for the courses. Then one recommendation also that is not on the slide, we have career officers in TVET institutions. They should be empowered more so that they assist the students to identify their talents, their interests, and they choose the courses in line with their interests. Many female students don't enroll for SET just because they don't know that they can make it. They don't know that they have the capacity. If they enroll in those courses, they can do well. But because of the stereotypes, the misconceptions, they don't enroll. So the career officers should work to demystify the misconceptions and have more female students enrolling for SET courses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Omondi. And I think that the findings and the strategies you outlined clearly show to us the importance of working across the ecological framework, from students, their families, through to the schools, institutions, and of course at the social society level. I was also struck by one of the figures that you put up about participation in ICT studies. In 2019, UNESCO published a landmark report which was called I'd Blush If I Could, which looked at what we have called the gender paradox in ICT, which shows that the more gender equal a country is, the less likely students are to actually, female students are to choose ICT studies. So the rates that we saw there, 50% pretty much of girls in ICT, is far, far higher than what we see in countries across Europe, for instance, when you're around 6 to 7%. So that was very interesting. Thank you. Now we're going to turn to our discussants, and here I would like to invite His Royal Highness to make some remarks based on what he's just heard. You've made a very powerful call over the last few days for the importance of changing gender norms. What have you observed in your community with regards to gender norms in TVET? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I stand here as an accused, and I plead guilty as one of the issues being highlighted as to what has been a hindrance towards our girls and young women's access to TVET programs. The customs and traditions have been highlighted as one such issue that has not helped for our young girls to excel in these programs. And the perceptions, the social and cultural norms that perpetuate negative perceptions and the stereotypes about the capabilities of girls and young women, and that traditionally certified fields such as engineering, construction, and automotive technology have been considered male-dominated, leading to lack of representation and opportunities for girls and young women. These are the major challenges, and despite governments like Zambia, for example, introduced the re-entry policy, and that has allowed school girls who fall pregnant to return to schools after delivery. This measure is welcome, but the key thing is that we are simply curing the patient, curing the symptoms. What is needed most importantly is the vaccine. The symptoms are what we see, and normally when you clear the symptoms, the underlying problem remains in the patient. So the girl or child can be protected, and what we need is to look at these vices such as the causes of teenage pregnancies, child marriage. Of course, it leads to child marriage, and the motherboard of all is actually gender-based violence in the homes, which in turn causes all these. So far, significant efforts have been put in place by creating spaces in TVET institutions, and also household chores compared to boys who would have ventured in some of these TVET programs. So these challenges are the ones that are being highlighted day in and day out, and I think we all know these are challenges, so I should not dwell much on challenges, but also just to concentrate on changing mindsets, breaking stereotypes, inclusivity. Changing mindset requires serious cultural transformation, and traditional leaders, we have the power and influence to challenge traditional gender roles and the stereotypes that hinders girls' access to TVET. We haven't received much support in this area. Mainly, the support that comes in ends at technical level. But that support that should go down to the communities where this challenge is, it's not much. We need advocacy as traditional leaders for equal opportunities, and also we need to dispel misconceptions about gender-specific careers. We need to encourage girls and young women to consider non-traditional fields. These can be achieved through community dialogue, awareness, campaigns, partnership with local organizations, involving parents, influential figures, and showcasing successive female role models who have excelled in TVET. And as traditional leaders, we can also work closely with schools and institutions to ensure that curriculum and career guidance programs are inclusive and promotes gender equality. By emphasizing the benefits of TVET for girls, increase employability and financial independence, we can also help shift the society attitudes towards more inclusive vocational education and more affordable academic education. In our local language in Zambia, there is a saying called Madzimawe angakwanishe, which simply means that a woman can do. There is no this I thought I share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness. That was fantastic, and I was just thinking about what you said about needing a vaccine. We're not just curing the symptoms. What we are doing is just curing the symptoms, and what we need is the vaccine. And I think perhaps that could be the motto for our session today. The people who in your community, men, women, girls and boys, are very lucky to have you as such a strong advocate for changing mindsets for gender equality in TVET and society more broadly. I'll now pass to my next speaker, Susan Nagami, who is a TVET educator. So she's going to be able to talk to us about her practical experience. Oh, sorry. I've just met people just before. Would you be able to tell us what you see in your teaching practices with regards to these issues? Now, I have to say, there are some seats here for panelists. I don't know whether everyone feels more comfortable coming up here or standing up, and I mean, it seems like a very nice informal space, so perhaps if you come and speak here and then people can stay at the tables and we can interact like that, I think that's the nicest.
Thank you, the moderator. By name, I'm Susan Nagami. I'm a senior health tutor or trainer in the nursing training school in Uganda. I am very privileged to be here for this noble cause. I am a mentor with FAWE Uganda, and I'm a trainer in TVET training institution. I want to say that there are so many of the social cultural issues around the training. Back there, you realize that parental and peer influence is very key. In this, you find that most of the trainers that come to the TVET training institutions, some of them have not made choices to come and train. However, you find that it's probably the parents that have made a decision for this trainee to come and train. In this, you find that there is low uptake of these trainees in these set courses. There is lack of career guidance right from primary level. I want to say with this experience that many of us even got the career guidance when we were already in the training institutions. So I feel if career guidance is done right from primary level, and specifically on the set courses, the students or the children, the girl child, can make the choices very well to take up the set courses. And then this issue of the masculine subjects. Initially, science subjects were optional in some of the African countries, per se Uganda, but time came when these subjects have been made mandatory, or it's to be taken up by all the students. And this has influenced the students to take up the SEC courses, because sciences have now become compulsory. So you find that in the process, when the student wants to enroll for the SEC course, they have the pre-required subjects. I want to say that so many that I had His Royal Highness has presented in ways of how to break the social cultural barriers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. And I think the point that you made about parental and social influence is so important. And it's true that when we work with big donors and governments often, I think this is something which is forgotten, whereas the local organizations are very much aware of it. So we need to, you're giving me ideas of things that we need to insist on more in my own work. I'm now going to turn to Victoria Ao, who is from Oxfam, South Sudan. Victoria, would you like to make you're actually the last speaker, so would you like to make some comments that you feel have been missing so far? Thanks.
Maybe just to make a comment or two. Most has been said by the two speakers before me and also the presenters. And to say that my reflection for the TVET programs that we are having in South Sudan, we see that entry requirements into the TVET, programs are actually, not, for lack of a better word, it's not clarified, or the beneficiaries are not aware of what the entry requirements are. And so in terms of, putting together strategies or policies, need to be able to clarify those so that the different beneficiaries are able to know what is required. And this links to career guidance as well. Again, in most countries, we see that youth or young people choose to go for TVET as a last resort. Initially, it's not something that they would have wanted to go for, but then because of maybe financial barriers, or maybe they never performed well to get into secondary school, but also in relation to areas that have conflicts. A case in point in South Sudan, you have a number of youth that have missed out on education, and so the availability of TVET comes in as an option, as one of the options that they have. But then they are faced with, a learning gap. We have young women, widows, who have not been able to, have the basic literacy and numeracy. And then the options of non-formal TVET, programs are also very scarce. Not many institutions are open to provide that, because the people that would qualify to go for non-formal TVET lack the basic requirements, the basic reading and writing. So the linkages between, for the courses, the modules, for them to be able to have, sort of a stepping stone to get into the formalized TVET service comes up as a gap. And so we have a number of, especially women, young women, who do not have access to, financial resources to access these TVET services, and even for the few options that they have, they are not able to comprehend what is required of them to read, write, or take up instructions. And so they end up to take up the basic, the courses such as catering, because this is something they do at home. And so it's an easier option. And then it's also easier to start up maybe having a local restaurant back at home. So in terms of our social engagements, these are some of the factors that we see that most of the female, students that we enroll in the schools, they opt for this course because they lack the literacy skills to be able to select other courses. And then the other issue I would say is also in terms of availability of the TVET centers that we see having around. Few are actually government aided. Most of these are actually private centers, which require, one way would think that maybe how to address some of these issues where there's limited access to TVET centers is opening up and seeing that some of the policies or the strategies that we have as we do our programs is having apprenticeships, local artisans within the different communities, so that the young mothers are able to access some of these centers that are close by. Because it does not it means this mother is able to access this center, but also be able to attend to some of their family responsibilities, because majority of those that come to these centers are either married or they've had to drop out of school because they have a child that they have to take care of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I think that was a very important call for more flexible learning pathways, and also that are coupled with literacy. And we know that 2/3 of people who aren't able to read and write continue to be women, which has not changed over almost 30 years. So I think pulling these together is essential. You also mentioned the importance of guidance and counseling, and also looking at the fact that so many of these institutions aren't funded by government, creating additional barriers to entry. Now, I'm pleased to say we have an additional speaker from our host organization. We have Teresa Otieno, who is the FAWE Kenya National Coordinator. Would you be able to tell us about what FAWE is doing for all of this? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to be brief, but I'll not be able to touch on what the rest have talked about. Yes, I'm Teresa Otieno from FAWE Kenya. I'm so excited that this is coming out in form of a research, because this is what is going to inform our intervention. But as FAWE Kenya, our main focus has been to change the societal thought about education for the girls, starting from the ECD level, at community level. Because a case in point is where we are working with in Turkana and Garissa, where there's a lot of cultural practices that are hindering girls' education. Like for instance, in Turkana, you realize that once a girl has been born, within the 3 months, so long as you are beaded, then you are not able to access education. You are groomed up to be a mother. So for us, as FAWE Kenya and FAWE as a whole, we believe in starting to change the retrogressive cultural practices from the lower level of education. Before even the child gets into the ECD level, what are we telling the child? What environment, what is it that the society is telling the child? So that when she's going to ECD and primary level, she's already aware of her potential, she's already aware that she's equal to the other boys within the learning environment. And that's why for us, we really take it as very key to be able to create awareness from the community level to the parent level when they are dividing roles within the family level. What are we trying to tell the girl and what are we trying to tell the boy at home? Everyone is equal. And so from that division of role, it's where now the child will grow up knowing that anyone can do anything at any time, be it in education or be it at household level. And I was so shocked with the data that Daktari shared here, where she was saying that hospitality is crowded by women and ladies. 52,000 versus 7,000 for men. I mean, that's already shows that women are associated with creating a hospitable environment, be it at home or be it at workplace. So what can we do? These already should change from the family level. For us, we believe that so long as a child has reached the age of 10 or 12, already the mindset has changed. Whatever information that you shared with that child from the age of 0 to 10, it will be very, very hard to change that information that she already has, because from the data they were shared, that is shared, is that girls are saying the technical subjects are meant for men. They'll make us dirty. They will do as this. So if we are there really to ensure that we need to change this behavior or we need to change the way of thought for the girls, then we have to start at the lowest level of education, so that when they're accessing education, we are able to nurture their talents, because it's at the ECD level that we end up making them feel like they are not able to take up the technical careers. But when we nurture it from the ECD level, then this girl will grow up to be assertive and even to participate in education. And then one other thing that I want us also to focus on is the GRP from the lowest level of education, so that we are not only looking at primary and secondary, but from the ECD level as we are going up until the TVET level of education. Then one last one is the media. What is the media telling us about the role of women and men within the society. If we can really work with the journalists to bring it out very strongly that even the girls are able to take these technical subjects, then we'll be able to go a long way in changing the narrative of the society that we really want to embrace girls' education and girls being able to take the technical careers in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for reminding us of the importance of starting, I think, right, even before birth. We know that gender norms and attitudes are visible by the age of 2, and that they start even before, while people are preparing to have their children. So thank you for reminding us of this. Now, I'm going to open up the floor for questions and comments. Your Royal Highness, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the presenters. Lots of insight, very clear. I think that's what's important, that we were getting the message. I just want to comment on mentorship. I want to comment on having role models for the girls. And I'm speaking from my point of view. I did mention yesterday to some of you that were there, or when we were opening, that I sometimes refer to myself as a STEM dropout. Because, and why a STEM dropout is because when I was in my high school, secondary high school, I had my mother who was a scientist, and my father who also has a background of science. So in me, I believed I had the DNA of science. So even in high school, the courses that I chose were mathematics, science, biology, chemistry, physics, you know, those that will take me to become a doctor. And I could feel the difficulty of physics. You know, the only science that I think I could comprehend was biology, and maybe that's why I thought I'd be a doctor. I could feel that physics and mathematics, not quite, so I had to put a lot of effort. Because my mind says I have been DNA'd with science, and I've got role models around me that are scientists. There is no way. And then during my time, sciences were, if you're doing sciences, you're a brilliant child. And I wanted to be, I saw myself as that brilliant child. So I went all the way to high school, and I passed very well enough to go to university and actually enroll into science. But my passing was hard because I worked very hard. And when I got to college, university, year 1, I failed my sciences because physics was just hard, very hard. And that is where, yet my mother, throughout the journey, kept saying, you're not a scientist. You are a lawyer. You know, your good presentation skills, you know, when you talk, we listen. And so she would give me the direction, the career guidance, but I kept saying no. Because I have this role model in front of me and my family. So I want to, where am I going with this? I am saying role models are very, very important, and they need to be people that these girls look up to. I imagine in my community, if I walk in and talk about education, as they know, in my family they know that education is very important because I come from educated parents and grandparents, and my children and my nieces are also getting educated because we've got role models just in the home on education. So I'm imagining what it can do to the girls if there's role models in these fields that will look up, they can look up to, that will talk to them now and again, visit them to the schools, have that woman engineer, have that mechanic of a woman walk in now and again to the schools to talk about it and show them. And it should be somebody who they know. Because if it's somebody that you know, you will feel that attachment and you will be drawn towards what they are communicating, as opposed to somebody who will come from wherever and say, hi, I'm an engineer. And then they'll start thinking, okay, you can afford, after all, you come from. And then there's negative thoughts and they listen, and after that it goes away. Yet when it's somebody they are attached to and they're seeing the living of that person, then it can make a difference. So my contribution is that let's find more role models live role models that they know they can relate to in their communities, especially, that they can see. And those role models should be the ones to actually give the testimonies and the career guidance and the talks about
to be able to provide the right support to the girls rather than just throwing them out there and assuming that it's going to work. I will take some more. We have MasterCard Foundation, I see, who's got a question.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Joyce, by the way. So I work for the MasterCard Foundation. Thank you very much. I wanted to just thank all the presenters because I aligned myself with a lot of what they have said. The foundation is actually making quite a significant investment in the TVET institutions across a number of countries. That Kenya perhaps is the most mature so far, and so Teresa was here earlier, she spoke about that, but this is very important. I was start by really acknowledging Chief Madzimawe. I always thought I was a very rude person, Chief. Every time I tell people, I'm yet to find a course where genitalia is one of the requirements for enrollment. To be very honest, so I feel very validated. Because I say that and people dilate their eyeballs, they're like, did you just say that? But of course, hearing from an elder and a chief makes me walk away from this space feeling that I'm not alone in this clarity that there is absolutely no reason. It almost borders on insanity that sex still continues to be a divider in what girls can do and what boys can do. So really kudos for affirming me. But I had a comment for Daktari. Thank you for sharing the story of Kisumu. When you look at the topic, which is addressing socio-cultural norms, and then you look at that number of respondents that say, oh, by the way, we always wanted to do social work and community development and business. And then you have a statistic here that says 95% of them are influenced by their parents in the decision making. Then this consistency that by the way, I always wanted to do this, seems to have come from a formative space where somebody drummed it and ingrained it and compacted it enough for them not to see engineering as attractive. So it's a comment, but also maybe some food for thought for you in terms of addressing socio-cultural norms. Is there a possibility to ask, but why? But why? But why? Until then we get to the bedrock of where is the poverty message that made me feel more of a nurse, because that's always what I wanted to be when I was growing up, and less of a policewoman, even though my father was a policeman. And so my mother wasn't a nurse in any case, so the role model I had in the house was you know, a guy carrying a gun, but I never at once felt inclined. And I always wanted to be a nurse. I always wanted to be a nurse. Where was that formed? I never became. Where is the nurse in the room? You missed a colleague. I went and did something else. But I'm just, basically the point here is, and this is something at the foundation that we are trying to really be open to and learn, are there models of digging deeper? Can we stay with the question a lot longer and be able to see where and how and what actually informs this face value norm that we are seeing? That indeed girls are wanting to do business and law and Madam Queen, the lawyer, but yours is a different story. But the why the root cause, the deeper reason why we will continue seeing this dichotomy of girls going this way and boys still dominating the sciences. So just to say, let's invest. Those of us who are implementing, maybe invest a little more time, spend a little more time in the communities and hear these girls saying they wanted to do this. Where is this coming from? How then can we engage with chiefs and other people that do social learning norms in the communities to unravel this? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think this one isn't, yeah.
Is this one working? Yes. Thank you. I'll perhaps turn the floor back to our paper presenters to see if they have any responses to those questions.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a very valid comment. And I think what forms that response of a high number of the trainees saying that is the course that they are wanting to do, it cuts across. There are many factors. What they were exposed to maybe from childhood. Like most of us growing up in the village, we knew that you should become a teacher, maybe and a nurse. We did not know about many of these other courses. This is something that is still continuing mostly in the villages. You may find that in most homes, actually, maybe it is only this student who has done Form 4. This is the person who is most educated. So you can imagine, there is nobody to give this student the options. There is nobody to tell this student that you can make it, you see. So that's why we are saying that career guidance should be introduced at a very early stage. Because most of them have the potential of doing some of the courses that they imagine are male-dominated, but nobody tells them. There's no test that is done. Nobody asks you questions to know what you can do and what you can't do. So there are all these factors that contribute to that. But I wanted to also comment something about what the government, or what Kenya government is doing to improve the enrollment in TVET. There are many reforms that the government has done. We're putting up new institutions in constituencies without one, buying equipment, employing, recruiting trainers, and also the introduction of TVET, that is competency-based education and training. The conventional program that has been there is what we call the modular program, where if you are doing a certificate course, it goes for 2 years. It is summative. So it means that at the end of the 2 years is when you do your exam. If you are doing diploma, at the end of 3 years is when you do the exam. But that is also very discouraging, because if you fail, most of the students just drop out. So we have the TVET programs that are flexible. They have flexible entry points and also exit points. So you can do one module. This is modular. It is module-based, competency-based. So you come and you do, maybe you are just doing one skill. So when you pass that one, you may do another one, or you may choose to take a break. Maybe you don't have fee, but you have acquired some skill, you can go and work. When you are ready, you come back for another skill. And in TVET, we don't talk of failures. We talk of you are competent or not yet competent. So this is very encouraging also to the students, because you acquire one skill, it motivates you. It means you can go and get employed. Then you say that I'm going to get another skill. So that is also something that the government has introduced to encourage the students to enroll for the said courses.
Thank you so much, very interesting. I'll now pass the floor back to Louisa for her comments.
Okay, thank you. So just briefly, especially when we talk about career, and career choices and influencing those career choices from a young age. What we saw when we were subjects, especially for girls, one very interesting one was a program that was run, I think, by the government of DRC, where they went around and produced videos of mentors. So they were looking at cost-effective ways of enabling the TVET institution. They already know what they're going to do. So having an open day at the point where someone has already enrolled in a course does not add value, but encouraging that TVET institutions reach out. And I believe this was a national program that was run in Egypt, if I'm not wrong, it was at a national level initiative that TVET institutions also were going to the high schools and having those open days, and the students were able to interact with the trainers, the teachers, and even bringing in those role models at that age to show them that even if you do mechanics, this is how your life can end up. So I think there are some best practices out there of successful interventions that have been done, but again, there's always room for more efforts and more innovation from the players within the sector. Yeah.
Thank you so much for those very practical suggestions. It's a great note to end on. Now, I've been told that we are to all go back to the main hall. Is that right? The Mara ballroom, where we were earlier. I guess we're going back to the plenary. So thank you again so much. Thank you to our wonderful speakers. Very much enjoyed your presence. It was really great to have such a dynamic conversation, and I'm sure we're going to have things that we'll be able to take home. Thank you.
Appreciate her.
Okay, let's appreciate our moderator, our discussants, and thank you. So feel free to go back to the main hall, and then we also have a side event being held by UNESCO from 12:30 to 2 p.m. So feel free to pass by and see.
It's a lunch. There's lunch there, so please, you can. Sorry. The side event that we're organizing is also a lunch, so you will be able to eat. So don't feel as though you can go to our side and you'll miss out on food.
No, I'm sorry. I can't imagine the one that you're eating. How was this one?
It's really interesting.